walking home from school on a cold winter day. Took a shortcut through the woods, and I lost my way. It was getting late, and I was scared and all alone, but then a kind old man took my hand and led me home. Mama couldn't see him, but he was standing there. And I knew in my heart he was the answer, and I heard it. That's the first verse to one of my favorite songs. And we heard that song, actually, in this room just a couple of months ago. So you better remember hearing it. When life held troubled times and had me down on my knees, there's always been someone to come along and comfort me. A kind word from a stranger, to lend a helping hand, a phone call from a friend, just to say, I understand. But it ain't kind of funny, the dark end of the road, that someone passed away with just a single red book. A couple of months, Jack Pack preached a sermon to us here, and his whole theme was about the power of love in delivering the message of hope the Christian faith has. He shared several stories of people that he encountered, his life and his work, and had extraordinary pain in their lives. And it resonated deeply. And Jack played this song at the end of that sermon. And I'm going to use Jack's message and the song to launch us, because I think today is really an extension of what he shared with us a couple of months ago. They wear so many faces, show up in the strangest places to grace us with their mercy in our time of need. Oh, I believe there are angels among us, sent down to us from somewhere up above. They come to you and me in our darkest hours to show us how to live, to teach us how to give, to guide us with the light of love. I have today's message divided into two parts. The first one is the discovery. I want to share with you the discovery that I made in reading some material that I read for my job about a couple of months ago, actually. And so that'll be part one. Part two, we'll talk about the application and having discovered something. How do we apply it? How does it make sense to put it to work in our context view? And between those two parts, there will be a short intermission, which I'll describe when we get there. But first things first, on to our discovery. In recent years, there's been a lot of conversation, at least in the world that I work in, about adverse childhood experiences. How many of you are familiar with that phrase or have heard it in some context or another? Anywhere? Yeah, a few of you. Let me explain a little bit about what they are, because it's important to understand what they are in order to understand the discovery that I want to share with you. Adverse childhood experiences is a phrase that came out of a study that happened about 20 years ago, in which researchers began to ask people that had come for medical treatment about experiences in their past. And what they came up with out of the study was a category of 10 types of what they call adverse childhood experiences, or ACEs. And we'll get to the significance of it in a minute. But what I wanted to share with you on this slide, and what I want you to understand in order to better appreciate the discovery, is the magnitude of the kinds of things that they were talking about when we talk about these ACEs. And so what they did was they divided up the things that they discovered into these 10 categories, and they developed what's called an ACE test, in which you can go through in just a few minutes, get a preliminary ACE score for yourself. So they have these 10 categories of things, and basically the question is, has anything like this happened to you in your past? And if you answer yes, then you put a 1 next to that. If you answer no, then it's a 0. You go through all 10 categories, and at the bottom, you add up all the 1, all the ones that you check, and that is your ACE score. So that's kind of the context. And I've listed not all 10, but several of them up on the screen, just to give you a flavor for the kind of things we're talking about. And without reading through them, I'm sure it's very apparent to you that we're talking about things that are very painful, very traumatic. The word adverse doesn't quite capture the significance of the event, but understand what they're trying to do when they say that. And so, that's the point to take away. Is when we talk about adverse childhood experiences, we're talking about very difficult, traumatic things that can be life-altering. And the extent to which they alter somebody's future life is yet being discovered as we speak. But the main point, again, as I've said a couple times now, is the very difficult, painful, sad experiences that kids go through. The original ACE study was performed in 1995 to 97, 2 years. 17,000 members from Kaiser Permanente in San Diego completed questionnaires about their ACEs experiences, the adverse childhood experiences they had, and their health status at present. Right? So that's the material for the study. Two conclusions came out of this, more than two, but two that I want to highlight today. And the first one there is the most significant one in my mind. That is that they discovered through this work that there is a much higher prevalence of ACEs among all populations than anyone ever suspected. A couple of examples. 2/3 of the people in their population had experienced at least one ACE. 2 out of 3, that's over 60%. And 1/5, 20%, had 3 or more ACEs from that list. When Dr. Vince, who was the lead author of the study, came out with these results, nobody believed him. Nobody believed that there could be that many people that could experience that much pain. And so he had trouble getting his study published. All the major journals declined it. He knew this was going to happen. He designed the study, and he'd even gotten the best help he could get from an epidemiological standpoint from the Centers for Disease Control. I mean, he built this study to make it airtight from a technical standpoint. And still, the journals wouldn't publish his results because they didn't believe it was true. Except one journal, thankfully. The American Journal of Preventive Medicine published the study. And after the study came out, people started doing follow-up studies to try and disprove it and verify that it was true, and all the follow-up studies verified that it was true. And so the prevalence of these types of things is probably the significance, more than anything, of what Dr. Vince discovered through the study. But just pause and think about what that means for a minute. If we have 50 people in our room, and that's probably give or take about what we have. 2/3 of us, that's 30. 30 of us know from personal experience what at least one of those things on that previous list was like. Can you experience it? 10 of us have had 3 or more. Now, I know a lot of you fairly well. I know some of you as a fellow church member for, we've been attending here together for a lot of time. And I'm going to tell you, it breaks my heart to think about what this means for us, right? So the prevalence is, to me, very significant. The second discovery makes more intuitive sense once we understand what ACEs are, start to think about how it affects kids. But the higher the ACE score, the worse the health status and the more the health problems later in life. So that was the other significant discovery. So that's ACEs. The thing that I want to share with you actually came out in another article that Dr. Vince wrote that was just published this year, also in the American Journal of Preventive Medicine. What I want to do is read to you just a couple paragraphs out of this study. And I've got to warn you, if I haven't put you to sleep yet, this might just do the trick. This is dense language, but I'll read a couple of paragraphs and then I'm going to put a slide up and cover what I consider to be the high points. But in this article, Dr. Vince recounts how the ACE study came together and some of the things I just shared with you about getting the right research people together and how much difficulty he had getting attention to the problem. So here's what he says in this article that just came out a few months ago, referring to the aftermath of publishing that ACE study. Surprisingly, strong interest and engagement first appeared in school systems, not in medical settings. Although there was common physician interest, there was also obvious resistance to using this information clinically. In response, I decided to integrate the ACE questionnaire into the lengthy adult medical history questionnaire filled out at home as step 1 of our health appraisal process. This went quite smoothly in spite of collegial predictions that the questions would enrage patients, who would in any case lie in their answers. Neither occurred. After 2 years, a mathematician with a startup dating mining company offered at no charge to carry out a 135,000 patient study to determine whether these added questions had any discernible effect. Being involved in getting his company listed, he requested that the results be anonymous, which I agreed to, which is why it's taken so long to get these results out. Unexpectedly, he found that the addition of the ACE questions triggered a 1/3 reduction in outpatient visits and a 10% reduction in emergency room visits in the subsequent year compared to the prior year for those patients that had answered these questions. Hearing of this by word of mouth, many assumed that this decreased utilization was the result of referral for psychotherapy. But almost no such referrals were made. Our basic approach was to say, once the patient got into the exam room, I see on the questionnaire that, and then acknowledge one of the questions that the patient might have answered yes to. Can you tell me how that has affected you later in life? And we listened. Period. Later, we learned from our patients that our apparent acceptance of them, after hearing their dark secret, was of profound importance. After lengthy consideration, we came to see that asking, initially just by a question on the exam, then a follow-up question in the exam, asking, face-to-face listening, and accepting was a powerful form of doing. In other words, we had come upon a mechanism for reducing traumatic shame, which shame had the secondary effect of causing stress-related symptoms, and hence, doctor visits. Okay, here's the Cliff Notes version of what you just heard. There's 135,000 patients whose medical records were studied to get this effect. They had ACE questions added to their medical history. During the patient visit, the clinician would acknowledge the ACE question that would check yes and simply say, can you tell me how this has affected your life? There were virtually no referrals for treatment. So any benefit that came didn't come because that patient got subsequent treatment. It was only the asking of the question and the listening and the apparent acceptance. There's the numbers, 35% reduction in outpatient visits, 10% reduction in emergency room visits. And by the way, what that means is people didn't have to go to the doctor's office. They didn't have to go to the hospital's office. When they don't go, that's a good sign because they usually go and get problems, right? So these are good things that happen to these patients. And so the conclusion, which is the discovery I wanted to share with you today, is that asking, listening, accepting is a powerful form of doing. Okay, now for our intermission. Now, most intermissions you get out with mingle and sip beverages. That's not what I'm talking about today. But I just wanted to kind of break this up. It's kind of a heavy topic, and I'm reading a medical journal. Combination of these things just made it kind of really tax you. So I'll lighten things up with this story. Today's story comes from Oshkosh. And those of you who have been around our group at all for the last few months know that we participated in Oshkosh. We sent some folks there. And this is a picture of the main stage at Oshkosh. And I was fortunate to go just for a little bit this year to pick up Simon. And so I got to see that stage, not when it was in production like it is there, but from a distance. And I got to tell you, it's pretty big. It's really impressive, the size of this thing. So this is the stage where the main program happened every night. And the theme of this year's program was built around the story of David and Goliath. And so they told that story in a variety of different ways. But one of the first ways happened on Tuesday night when a ventriloquist came out on the stage. The ventriloquist's name was, do you remember? Ryan. Ryan and his, he had a little sidekick, and it was a lamb. Do you remember what the lamb's name is? Lily, right. So Ryan and Lily came out on the stage. And they were going to tell just a brief version of the story of David and Goliath. So Ryan was the narrator, Lily was David, and they needed somebody for Goliath. So they thought, and they said, well, let's bring Pastor Ron in. Pastor Ron Whitehead is the North American Division Pathfinder Director, and he's kind of the one that oversees the big picture at Oshkosh. So he's a well-known character. And if you haven't seen Pastor Ron, I can just describe him as very tall. He's a tall guy, probably taller than me. You say 5 inches. So Pastor Ron came out and stood on the stage next to Ryan and Lily. He was standing over there. They went through the story to the point where David slings the rock at his Goliath and knocks him over. And so now David's trying to check to see if he's dead. Well, Ryan was giving some coaching to Pastor Ron about how to look down. So he said, you don't have to fall down or anything, but just kind of slump over and maybe lift your head slightly, close your eyes, and just stand still for a moment. So Pastor Ron did that. He was standing there, kind of slumped over. And Lily looks at Pastor Ron. She looks back at Ryan. She does this a couple times. And then finally she says, Pastor Ron doesn't look dead. He looks like his congregation when he's preaching. So, if any of you feel like you're dead at the moment, I'll totally understand. Hopefully you'll enjoy the rest. Pressing on. How do we apply this discovery? Does it apply? Obviously, I think it does in some way, otherwise we wouldn't be talking to you about it. But let's talk about how to apply it. A reminder of what the discovery is. Asking, listening, and accepting is a powerful form of doing. Now, the thing about applying discoveries like this is it's not a formula. It's not a step-by-step process where I can sequence things out, say, if you do these things in this order, you've got it nailed. It's not like that. It's much more context-dependent, much more nuanced, and much more customizable, or customization is needed because we each do it in our own way. And so the wisdom of the group, the experience of the group, I think is critical in our ability to understand and apply principles like this. And so that's the spirit in which I share today. I'll have more questions and answers. Hopefully I can generate some curiosity or interest on your part. But it's not going to be just a simple sort of thing where we play out the formula and that's all you do as a student. So I hope that in addition to generating curiosity and questions, that will generate some experience or some interest in practice, experiencing what this looks like and how do we do it better and what is it appropriate to do. And so again, that's the spirit in which I approach this topic. So I'm going to talk about two parts of application. First of all, we'll dig a little bit deeper into what asking, listening, and accepting might look like. And then we'll close by just considering a couple of situations where it might or might not be appropriate to use. Sometimes when I want to understand what something is, it's helpful to ask the question, what isn't it? So what I want to do with each of these is just invite you to help me fill in the square with some opposites. Okay? So let's take the first one, ask. What kind of things come to your mind when you say, what's the opposite of asking? Telling. Okay, good. What else? Judging. Okay. Ignoring. There's probably a dozen of these things, so we're not trying to get one right answer, but feel free to use some synonyms or whatever comes to your mind. What else? What's the opposite of asking? Advice. Okay. Good. Talking. Yeah. What else? I'm looking through the silence section. I just want to see if there's anybody over there that's brave enough to say something. Okay. You'll get another chance. So here are my top three. Telling, informing, enlightening is one of my favorite. Let me enlighten you. What about listening? What's the opposite? What comes to your mind when you think of the opposite of listening? Talking. Ignoring. Good. Interrupting. Yeah, very good. Sighing. Yeah. Are you done yet? Right. Okay. Any others? Yeah. Moving the conversation on to the top. Good. Yeah, thinking of my own response. Yeah. Okay, here's my top three. Talking, checking my mobile device, and interjecting. I've got to tell you, since I put these slides together last Sunday, I've just had that checking mentally and surprised and rather embarrassed a couple of a number of times in the last week that I realized I was looking at my phone and somebody was talking. It's amazing how easy it has become for me to do that. So that's a little bit personal about revelation there, but there's a variety of ways that we can do things other than listening. Okay, the last one. Accepting. What do you think of as an opposite of accepting? Rejecting. Good. Judge. What else? Denying. Yeah, good. Criticize. Excellent. Very good. Refuse. Yeah. Deny. Yeah. So here's my top three. To judge, contradict, or to fix. Right? I put up just a couple of questions that I find useful when I think about asking. There's hundreds of these, so just take this as one possibility among a lot. But these questions, for me, are very helpful in unpacking the story. Right? Sometimes when a person tells a story, especially if there's pain or emotion involved, it all kind of blends together and there's lots of things going on. And so I find it interesting, helpful, if appropriate in conversation, to ask questions like, tell me what actually happened. And when I say that, what did you see? What did you hear? Those are usually most of the things. But sometimes there's other senses, like taste, touch, and smell involved. Right? Another way of putting it is, what's the story? What actually happened? Because sometimes what happened is separate from, in fact, most of the time, what actually happened is separate from the next question. How do I feel about what happened? Right? These are things like I feel sad, or I'm angry, or I'm hurt, or I'm excited, or happy, or joyous, or whatever, right? So there's the story, there's my emotional response to the story, and then there's this next question. What do you tell yourself as a result of what happened? You ever had that experience where two people see the exact same thing happen and reach totally different conclusions, right? So that's legitimate inquiry. What did you tell yourself? What did you conclude about what happened? And then fourth one, what do you want or wish for? And again, there's lots of these, but I just thought these were interesting, thought I'd share them with you. A question for reflection at the bottom as you think about applying it in your own conversations. What's your tendency and how often do you feel pauses in a conversation with a question as opposed to a statement, right? And there's no right or wrong there. All of us have different styles. Some talk more, some talk less, and all of that. The only reason I put that up there is just to invite you to reflect. You go through the week. Pay attention to how you feel pauses in conversation. And ask yourself the question, am I good with it? Or do I want to shift? What is God nudging you to do? What's the Holy Spirit telling you? Same sort of thing for listening. Here's some interesting listening levels that I picked up from a source which is way down at the bottom right here. I'll share more with that later. But I thought these were interesting listening levels. They help engage me when I'm listening to something if I have something to listen for, right? So listen for things that confirm what you already know or think you know, right? You hear that? Yeah, that's what I was expecting. Yep, I was expecting. Or listen for what surprises you. And of course, that can be really interesting if you're open to it. Saying, man, I was not expecting to hear that. Or I never knew that was true. I never knew that person felt that way. Right? So listen for what surprises you. And then finally, something we all have probably heard a lot. It takes a lot of work to practice and to do that. But listen with empathy. Imagine what it would be like to be in that person's shoes. Imagine what you would feel, what you would conclude if you had that experience with the person. And then just another question for reflection at the bottom. One of the things I notice in my conversations is that people I talk to have very differing tolerance for how long they can listen before they start to get visibly uncomfortable. And again, this is just a question for reflection, but think of that in yourself. How long can you listen before you start to get physically uncomfortable? And I'll tell you, for me, it's on the short end. Right? I'm a fidgety guy. I should be old enough that my fidget has gone away, but it hasn't. Right? So I'm not saying this, again, is the way that you should be be able to listen for so long. But just a self-awareness thing. You observe about yourself. Are you good with that? Is there an opportunity for growth? Accept it. A nice conversation about this for the few minutes that I was there. That was really good. This quote was from what I just read you a few minutes ago. Let me read it again. This is Dr. Pence talking about the results of this experiment they did where they added the question to the patient's medical history. Later, we learned from patients that our apparent acceptance of them after hearing their dark secret was of profound importance. Now, in order to understand what that apparent acceptance is, we have to do a little bit of imagination, because the article doesn't say more concretely what does that mean. But most of you, perhaps all of you, have at some point in your life been in the doctor's office and gone through the process. Fill out the question, you go through the room, you close the door, the doctor comes in a few minutes later with a chart, asks you questions, deals with your problem, whatever, right? Well, one thing that's almost universally true about those conversations is they're short, right? So my guess is, if that's true in this case, which it probably was, that most of what allowed the patients to believe that they were accepted was by what the doctor or the clinician didn't do, rather than what they did, right? So in the article, what Dr. Vince says is, we listen, period. To me, that tells me that the doctor probably didn't give a lot of response, maybe acknowledgement or affirmation that they heard, and then they moved on, right? So to me, there's a lot of value in learning in terms of acceptance and talking about and learning what not to do. So that, again, as most of this stuff is, will be personal. What I want to do to prompt your thoughts is to share with you what I think of as my major obstacles to being accepted. Okay? And so I put them up here on the screen. It is very difficult for me to be accepted when I know, or I think I know, that the other is wrong, or if they've done something to contribute to the problem that they're suffering from. And related to it is that second one, if I know that the other isn't remembering everything correctly. I just have this almost unstoppable urge to make sure that the record is set straight. And if somebody's suffering, I want to make sure that they know and everybody else knows how they contribute. And if they're not remembering the details right, I've got to make sure those details are set straight. I'm not sure where that comes from. I'm not sure I want to know. But it's there. And it's not accepted. It's an obstacle for me. And so for me, there's a regular prayer and a confession and a receptivity to grace to get over those obstacles. And then the last one is when I know, or think I know, how to help somebody. And I just am compelled to make sure that they know what I know about how to help them. And in most cases, if not all cases, it's not accepted, not feeling helpful. And so these things lead me, and again, there's lots of obstacles. You know yourself and what they are for you. Maybe they're the same as mine, maybe they're different. But I invite you to think about them and consider them for yourself. The question this raises for me at the bottom is for me to process this whole thing. Is it possible to accept someone without agreeing with them? Is it possible to accept someone without condoning their actions or their attitudes? And I think this question I find particularly difficult as a Christian, because my Christian faith tells me that I have something positive to share. I believe that. I believe that the sacrifice of Christ is good news for a world that's broken and hurting. And I want to be able to share that in a way that's helpful. So there's that part of me coming that wants to share what I know and believe and have experienced is good. And then there's this new discovery that somehow if I'm accepting, and maybe accepting is less about what I say and more about what I don't say. But that accepting is healing. It brings healing to people who have suffered unspeakable things. Not total healing, it doesn't solve the problem, but it's helpful. Right? So how do we bring these two things together? I don't have answers for you. But I hope you'll join me in asking the question and experiment with it, practice it. Because I think there's something good and powerful for a Christian community, a church community, to experience by working on this. Let's talk about the when for just a few minutes. Probably by now you've picked up that the context of this ask, listen, and accept approach is maybe not the kind of thing you want to do when you're going up to an airport counter to check your bags. Right? They don't leave your bags and say, well, let me ask you a question. Right? Or whatever. It's not one of those transitory light bulbs sorts of things. But here's some ideas for me that I would suggest as appropriate engagement points. And the first one, I think is particularly significant, when there's some basis for trust or common ground. So in Dr. Vince's study, there was an encounter between a doctor or a clinician and a patient. And probably in most cases, those two didn't know each other very well. Maybe they'd never met before at all. And yet there was still some basis for trust, right? Clinicians, doctors and other healthcare providers generally are trusted folks in our society, and we feel safer with them than we might with somebody that we have no context with at all. And yet it's not like a real close relationship, right? So there's definitely some risk and some probably some discomfort involved with those patients talking about those things, even with their doctor, right? I say that one because I think we have something like that in a church setting. We have some basis for trusting one another, right? We come because we worship the common God and believe we do. We have a common set of beliefs about when we worship. And many of us who attend church over long periods of time with the same group have friendships, right? So there's some safety. Maybe not as much as we like, but I've got to tell you, if there was a place I was going to take a risk, I'd much rather do it here with most of you than I would with somebody I've never met. Right? So yeah, there's some basis for trust. I think a church is very appropriate context to consider how we might apply a learning like this. When someone is suffering or in pain, especially when it's not physical, I imagine that seems fairly evident from the context of cases and topics that are involved there. And this last one, when you have a disagreement or a conflict with somebody, that feels like a particularly useful and difficult to ask, to listen, and to accept. When I think about connecting this message, this discovery of ask, listen, and accept to my faith, to what I understand of Christ's characters and space in Scripture, for me, the connecting point is around Jesus' command to love. And the promise that's contained at the end of today's text is the reason I put this in there. Lo, I am what? I am with you always, even to the end of the age. That's an unusual promise. And for Jesus to put that promise right at the end of the great gospel commission to me is incredibly significant, because what it does is it empowers me to fulfill what otherwise would be impossible. I mean, if I know somebody is with me, especially somebody that I trust, that I love, then I have a much better chance of chasing the impossible than if I'm on my own. And not only is he with me, but to me, this command from John 15 makes that a good promise. Not everybody that I know will be somebody that I want to be with me all the time. But Jesus I trust because he loved me. A new commandment I give to you, that you love one another as I have loved you. He showed us how. He lived love. He's given us all the evidence that we could possibly ask for and trust him as a loving character. As I have loved you, that you also love one another. So that promise where Jesus says, I am with you always, to me means everything. Because not only is he with me, but he loves me. And as he has loved me, that's what he commands me to do with my fellow Christians. And all of my fellow Christians. By this all will know that you are my disciples. You have love for your life. The word of applying ask, listen, and accept in a church setting, to me, is a powerful option for us to demonstrate what it means to love one another. And if I tie back together, particularly that last moment or that last experience of time when it's useful, when we have conflicts, we have disagreements. If there's a time where it's the most difficult to ask, listen, and accept, to me, that's it. Because when I'm in disagreement with somebody, I have a conflict, it's usually because I want something that I'm not getting. And when I want something that I'm not getting, I'm in that moment of frustration and disappointment to set that aside and pay attention to the other in my conversation enough to ask and to listen to what's going on from their side and to be accepting, To me, that's one of the ultimate demonstrations of what love is and of how we can demonstrate Christ's character.